long beans, noodle beans, asparagus beans, whatever you call these amazing vegetables, I want to show you one of my favorite crops to grow throughout the heat of summer. This legume is closely related to the southern pea, but you can eat them raw and they're going to put on round after round. Let's talk about this highly productive, heat resistant and drought tolerant vegetable to grow in the hot summer weather. What's up everybody, this is Scott from New Garden Road and I'm here to inform, inspire, and elevate you. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and spread the word for me. While you're at it, subscribe and get notified for more gardening action. See these long beans behind me? This is a variety that I'm growing from Southern Exposure Seed Exchange, and it's labeled as an asparagus bean. And this is a pole variety. It's really going to need a trellis or some type of element to help it grow vertically, and that's also going to help you save space in the garden and maximize your production. This legume loves hot weather. If you plant them early, they may be slow to get growing. They may sit there and you think, I don't know if this is going to be successful, but just wait. As soon as it gets hot, they are going to take off, and once they start producing, it's not over after the first round. You need to keep picking them, and that's going to encourage them to produce more and more beans. As you can see, these beans do get pretty long according to their name, in the range of 12 to 18 inches. There's a couple of key things that I want to point out as you harvest them. What you want to look for is a little bit of sizing up as it's attached to the plant. Let me show you. A lot of times I'll look here at the top where they connect, and when it's kind of swollen right there, I know they're ready to pick. You can pick them when they're smaller. They'll just be more tender. No problem. You want to pick these beans when they're firm to the touch. If you let them continue to grow, you'll notice that they get kind of spongy, and that's going to have a little bit different texture, mouthfeel. To me personally, it's not quite as appealing. You know, experiment for yourself. You may find that you like them just fine that way. These are just about the right size for me. You don't want to cut above the bean in this range because they're going to continue to produce flowers. So they'll make multiple sets of beans. What you want to do is either clip it, or you're gonna lightly twist it gently and it just comes right off. But that leaves that nub there to continue to produce flowers and set beans. They really make a beautiful flower. It's got a purple tint to it, and I'll see some pollinators and butterflies occasionally. They're an exciting element to add to the garden, and I really enjoy seeing them when I come out here first thing in the morning. Aren't those flowers beautiful? And these are some baby beans. So one of my good friends was talking to me recently about these long beans, and she said that she only eats them raw. And I gotta admit, I've only done that a few times. But yesterday I wanted to try it again, so I broke out some hummus that I had made, and I was dipping those long beans in there. And they really have a unique flavor. They're different than snap beans or green beans, so you should know that before you grow them. They taste a little bit different. But I think they're delicious, they're really nutritious, and along with being really heat tolerant, they are highly productive. So that's a win-win. The other way that I love to prepare these is I'll put them on the grill in a grill basket. I'm going to lightly oil them and season them with a little salt and pepper, and then I'm going to toss them in that grill basket periodically until they get a little bit cooked. Once again, since you can eat them raw, you don't have to overcook them. They don't have to get a whole lot of char on them, but it's going to enhance their flavor a little bit. It's inevitable that at some point during the season I get a lot of these, more so than I can actually cook and eat all at once. So what I like to do is blanch and freeze. I'll cut them in the 2 to 4 inch length, and then I'm going to give them a quick boil, probably less than 2 minutes, and then I'm going to put them directly in an ice water bath. From there, I'll dry them off slightly, and I'm going to load them up into some Ziploc bags, or if you've got a vacuum sealer, that's going to be even better. And I got to tell you, it really hit me last year flavor-wise. The first time I did a blanch and freeze with these, they tasted just like asparagus to me. I thought that was really interesting. So with some specific cooking techniques, that brings out that flavor side a little bit more heavily. I think if you steam them, you might notice that as well. I want to encourage you to plant successive plantings. That means you want to plant a few, 2 weeks later, plant a few more. 2 weeks after that, plant a few more. You can keep going as long as you have about 90 days for them to mature. So up until 90 days ahead of your first average frost, you can plant multiple rounds of these long beans. You're going to be in hog heaven if you love them. I'm telling you, they're so productive. They're really resistant to pests and diseases, and you're going to grow a lot of food. They don't require a lot of fertilizer. I don't really fertilize them with any granular organic fertilizer, and when I'm doing my foliar fertilization, I'll hit them with the fish emulsion, the molasses, and the seaweed that I use, but I don't do it excessively, and that's a light fertilization to begin with. One of the things that you may find is fire ants. Now, Ants in the garden aren't necessarily a bad thing or a problem. Just because you see ants doesn't mean you should fly off the handle and be concerned. Observe the ants. What are they doing? They're likely pointing to a larger problem or issue, and that should be something that you focus your attention on in the big picture. What I typically see the ants doing is harvesting some of the sweet stuff that exudes from the flower buds or the heads of these beans. So they're getting a little bit of food off of it, but I've never observed them actually damaging the plants. I'm not seeing a whole lot of ants today, but typically when I do, this is where I'll find them. They'll find some sweet substance that's being exuded by the plant, and they're feeding on that. Typically when I see ants, or fire ants in particular, I look out for aphids, because a lot of times fire ants will propagate aphids. They'll actually take them, move them onto a plant, the aphids start sucking juice, and then as it excretes excess food in the form of honeydew, the ants are there to harvest that. So that's another food source for them. That's what the ants could be doing on your plants, and that's one of the more common insects that I might see on these. One other insect that you will see is this sharpshooter. They will suck some juice from the plant and they'll excrete a sticky honeydew substance. They're not really going to do your plants in. They do have the capacity to spread disease, so you have to keep vigilant in the garden, take action, but by and large the sharpshooters aren't going to decimate your plants. Furthermore, there's not a whole lot that you can do. Not that bad, more of a nuisance. If you're growing in a hot and humid climate, and particularly with legumes, you want to look out for fungal issues. So keep an eye on those leaves. Do you see some spots? Is there some yellowing? You may want to treat with an organic fungicide. If you like to apply a foliar fertilizer, you can add an organic fungicide to the mix and apply that regularly in a preventative fashion. I really hope that you will consider growing some long beans. They could soon be your favorite food for the summer. They're really going to keep you fed, and I feel like they're really easy to grow. So if you're new to gardening, give these a shot. Now check out some of these other awesome gardening videos on my channel, like this playlist for how to grow your own organic vegetables. You can grow your own food. Keep it organic.